What's up, Yoon fam? This is your boy, Mark Yoon, and today I'm bringing another hopefully exciting video. So what I got for you today is yet another of my lore videos. Since the new timeline has struck and we have now gotten Setsuka added to the mix, I felt it was time to actually go over her new timeline stuff. So we're just going to do this as we usually do, so sit back, relax, and enjoy, and wait to the end of the video. Let's begin. So Setsuka's new timeline. Obviously her real name is unknown because Setsuka was the name that was given to her by Shugen. She was born offshore of Japanese and Portuguese descent, and she was raised in Japan. Her birth date is unknown, as she was raised by her family members that don't obviously know where her parents are, because she's adopted. Now, she has snow white skin, lustrous golden hair, and two deep blue beads that is deeply carved into her face, known as eyes. Here in Ichi, in western Japan, its appearance is eye-catching. However, she stands still dignifiedly with a gaze directed at herself. She wasn't wearing this nobility from the beginning. Violence and disgust, curiosity, and unspoken words that everyone in a mixed race would suffer. She too grew up in despair and closed off her heart. I don't know the warmth of my parents. She was born abroad, a ship from Portugal to Japan, and her parents died of illnesses without stepping in the land of Japan ever. The relatives unreasonably oppressed the stranger's blood-throwing daughter as the demon girl, and finally she fled the house. However, traveling as a child does not last long. Exhausted under the cold white snow, she meets a man, a young swordsman, who called himself Shugen Tamiya, who was disliked and hated, the flower that bloomed in the snowfields. The new life which was given to her name was Setsuka, melts a frozen heart little by little. Shugen began to teach Setsuka Shinden Tushio Ryu Batio Jutsu. It was a way to protect and live, but she flourished. At some point, the training became more advanced, and Setsuka grew up to be a woman in both strength and beauty. They believed that they would live secretly, enjoying their bond, but the times weren't right for them. The darkness of the Shinden Tushirama Ryu, a technique that the Shugen had learned, did not allow for the two to live a quiet life. Shugen was injured in a certain duel and eventually passed away. Until the end, while being gentle to Setsuka and strictly teaching the sword, Setsuka, who lost the people who lived together, felt that she had once again immersed in loneliness and had not felt since she was a child. Still, unlike that time, she had the technique of removal that her teacher had left behind. I know the name of the person Shugen attended. The first martial artist, Shiru Mitsuruodai. She moans in front of the grave of snow-covered teacher. Shugen left behind on the edge of death, forbidden revenge for her teacher. Why? Because I'm weak? Because Atsushi's sword flash? I'm sure that I'll come back and get struck. They both lived together and lost their natural existence, but they were not allowed to live in revenge. Setsuka, who was left alone, could not see the way to go. Shinden Tushima style, the sword that has been handed down to the Kuju family. It was a furious sword that used to exist with many folklore. But he had left the Kuju family with a man who had doubts about his sword, and upon his death, went to his disciple, Setsuka. She thought of her teacher and decided to cover the sword with a glossy robe. Ametsuki and Kageuchi, who changed their style, are held in Setsuka's hands without losing their feelings. When she runs the blade with that technique, it now has the image of her late teacher. There is a true hit in the Rain Moon. When a swordsman hits a Japanese sword, he strikes several swords instead of one, and pays the best of them to true hit. The rest is kept at hand, but anything other than the true hit is called a shadow hit. Ametsuki Matsu is a work of sword smithing that described one of the best in his life. It had become unknown. The Shinden Tushiyama Ryu Bajutsu. The sword technique of the Shinhaya, which had been handed down from samurai of Hizen province to generations in the so-called Kujuryu sword technique. Because of its name, it is said that it's in essence divided into several mysterious books, and one theory that not only one sword technique, but the method of freely releasing murderousness can be learned. The reason why it wasn't attached to big words and laughs that tend to be found in the swordsman school is probably due to many heroic stories left behind by swordsmen who have mastered Shinden Tushima swordsmanship. However, if you believe in that name, it will be a swordsmanship that has been passed down by a god. However, considering the timing of sword-making techniques, there is a strong theory that it is an attempt to raise the rank of the school. The technique of cutting off a blade in an instant as soon as you pull it out of nothing is nothing but a sword for an assassin. Even if word derived from an old song used to the name of the sword technique and pattern, and even if the blade is wrapped in a colorful umbrella like Setsuka, it is hard to say that the essence can be completely covered. In fact, this school has a dark part called Ora Konju, and they have a dark history of burying their enemies in a dark according to their main orders. It is rumored that the assassin in Irakune had learned not only 10 operations and sticks, but also the dark arts such as cane and umbrella, and even a mysterious witchcraft. This school, which gains infinite sharpness by cultivating and refining the spirit, demands skill in the unhuman domain in both handling and handling the sword. It is said to those that desire the 3 secrets under the names of Snow, Moon, and Flower devote all of their own powers and themselves in a predicament. The sword technique passed down by a god, perhaps is the only person who has left the path of human beings and has entered the extreme point of tirelessness, seeking the understanding and the true meaning of its name. Now, Setsuka's new timeline gives a lot to us that we haven't gotten before. Sure, we saw before that her teacher had been felled, and sure we saw that she had even loved her teacher. But there's a lot more showing how she was treated and showing her past and showing just the closeness that she had with Shugen that actually led them down the path of her own revenge. And the assassination techniques that were handed down to her by Shugen are probably going to be used for not so what he intended, let's just say. Mitsurugi was basically in the wrong place at the wrong time and met the wrong person at the wrong time because of his meeting with Shugen and all that transpired between them, now he'd set a path between him and Setsuka. Now, Setsuka doesn't know everything because her sensei decided not to teach her anything about that, left it up to her own, I guess, abilities to discern, and she's on the path that she's on now. Now, Shugen being pushed to the brink and using the assassination techniques is something he thought he would never have to do again, and since he did, now he's leaving all that in the hands of Setsuka. Setsuka as a character in this game has a much better design than I originally thought that she would have, and you can see all of my thoughts on her in the actual review that I did for the character. But let's just say that I really like her countering and her swift sword techniques, and it seems like she's a much more fluid option than we had in Alpha Patroclus from Soul Calibur 5. In the old series, she actually was the one that taught Patroclus how to wield the sword. Now, Patroclus doesn't exist in this canon as of yet, so we have no idea where that's going to lead to. But hopefully I wouldn't want something like the assassination technique in those hands. So let's hopefully find out that, like, in the next game, when she actually finally interacts with Mitsurugi, if she'll actually cast aside her revenge, or if she'll just join the search for Soul Edge like everybody else. But that's all going to be yet to be seen, and we have no idea what's going to come of that, because there's still more characters coming out and more that can add to the story. Unlike Gro, who hardly added anything to that story, but at least we have some extra, I guess, eyes from what was going on at the time. So with that being said, guys, we're going to bring this video to a close. That's the new timeline lore for Setsuka, and I want you guys in the comment section down below to let me know exactly how you like her new lore as opposed to her old lore, or vice versa. Do you prefer the older lore to the new lore? Any and all thoughts are always welcome in the comment section down below. I'd like you guys to start a conversation with not just myself, but with yourselves as well. And as always, thank you. And thank you. Hey, what's up, guys? Have you always wanted some sweet Mark Yoon merch? Maybe a thick U shirt, maybe a shirt from Squirt, maybe my pretty face with my logo all over your body, or a throw pillow, or blanket, or anything? Well, you're in luck, because I just launched my merch store, and it is going to be available on Redbubble, and you will find a link to it in my description box down below. It's got a lot of quality content, and a lot of good stuff for you to pick up, so you can show your support for the channel, and just rep Mark Yoon. Alright, guys, as always,